She sat silently at the edge of the SEAL training range day after day. An older woman no one bothered to notice. The recruits thought she was staff or someone's visiting mother. They joked, trained, competed, completely ignoring her presence. Until one scorching afternoon when she rolled up her sleeve, revealing a faded tattoo just below her wrist. A symbol that made hardened instructors freeze mid-sentence. The laughter died instantly. One by one, the recruits stepped back, creating distance not from fear, but profound respect. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If stories of hidden strength and unrecognized excellence resonate with you, subscribe for more tales of extraordinary people hiding in plain sight. Morning fog rolls thick across the training grounds of the Naval Special Warfare Center on Coronado Island. The gray mist clings to the sandy terrain as 24 SEAL candidates push through brutal physical conditioning, bodies straining, faces contorted with effort as instructors bark commands that cut through the heavy air. At the far edge of the field, almost invisible against the weathered fence line, sits Amaryllis Winthorn, 57 years old, with salt and pepper hair pulled back in a practical low bun. She occupies a bench worn smooth by years of exposure to salt air and sun. Her faded jeans, navy windbreaker, and hiking boots blend into the background of military utility. Nothing about her demands attention. She has been there since before dawn, sitting motionless except for the occasional note made in a leather-bound notebook balanced on her knee. Her weathered hands move with deliberate precision, each observation recorded with economical handwriting. Sometimes hours pass between entries. A young administrative officer approaches Lieutenant Commander Bridger Blackwood, who oversees this phase of training. "Sir, regarding the civilian observer," he begins, nodding discreetly toward Rill. "She has clearance," Blackwood interrupts, his tone clipped. "That is all you need to know." "Yes, sir. But protocol suggests all observers should be." "She is not all observers," Blackwood says, something like discomfort flashing across his face. "Just make sure she has access to whatever she needs." As the morning progresses, the candidates rotate through stations, rope climbs, obstacle courses, weapons drills. Rill's gaze follows them with clinical assessment, occasionally checking her watch as though timing specific exercises. When one recruit falters on his technique during a tactical movement, her fingers twitch slightly, a ghost of muscle memory responding to the error. At mid-morning, a fresh group of candidates jogs onto the field, their faces still carrying the smooth confidence that the first weeks of training have not yet eroded. They are led by Ensign Jared Tannery, square-jawed, broad-shouldered, with the easy swagger of someone who has excelled at everything his entire life. As the new arrivals settle into formation, Tannery notices Rill. He leans toward another candidate. "What is with the old lady?" he asks, voice pitched to carry just far enough. Commander Blackwood materializes beside him with startling speed. "Watch your mouth, Ensign. She has every right to be here." "Yes, sir," Tannery responds, the appropriate words undermined by the challenging set of his jaw. Later, as candidates clean their gear by the equipment shed, Tannery holds court with his cohort. "Seriously, though, who is she? Some admiral's widow? Psychological observer?" "I heard she is from the Training Evaluation Board," offers another recruit. "Maybe she is somebody's mom," suggests a third, laughing. "Got special permission to make sure little Johnny is doing his push-ups right." Rill sits just beyond earshot, her expression unchanged, seemingly oblivious to being the subject of their speculation. But nothing about her posture suggests obliviousness. Rather, it communicates perfect awareness paired with perfect indifference. As sunset approaches, she closes her notebook, tucks it inside her jacket, and stands with the fluid economy of someone conserving motion. She walks unhurriedly toward the parking area, passing Commander Blackwood, who acknowledges her with a nearly imperceptible nod that she returns in kind. The next 3 days follow the same pattern. Rill arrives before dawn, occupies the same bench, observes with the same quiet intensity, and departs at sunset. The candidates grow accustomed to her presence, their curiosity fading into the background of their grueling days. On the 4th day, the training shifts to the tactical shooting range. Rill arrives with her usual notebook, now accompanied by a steel thermos. The summer heat has intensified, wavering visibly above the concrete firing line. Candidates rotate through stations, demonstrating proficiency with various weapon systems, while instructors evaluate their performance. Ensign Tannery excels, his shots clustering with impressive precision. After each successful sequence, his eyes flick toward Rill's bench, his performance carrying an undercurrent of showmanship. Commander Blackwood notices this dynamic, his brow furrowing as he observes Tannery's repeated glances toward the quiet woman. At mid-morning, Master Chief Zachariah Quinn arrives to observe the session, a legend in his own right. Quinn's 28 years in the teams have earned him universal respect within the special operations community. His weathered face maps decades of deployments to places most Americans could not locate on a map. Quinn scans the range professionally, then freezes when his gaze lands on Rill. He recovers quickly, but the momentary break in his composure does not escape Blackwood's notice. "You know her?" Blackwood asks quietly. Quinn's expression remains neutral, but something shifts in his eyes. "You do not?" "Only by reputation and clearance level," Blackwood admits. Captain Winthorn's record is mostly redacted. Quinn's short laugh holds no humor. That is putting it mildly. During a water break, Tannery approaches Rill's bench, canteen in hand, trailed by several fellow candidates curious about what he is planning. "Enjoying the show, ma'am?" he asks with exaggerated politeness. "Must be exciting compared to bingo night." Several recruits snicker, but others sense a line being crossed and shift uncomfortably. Across the range, both Quinn and Blackwood notice the interaction, tension visible in their postures. Rill meets Tannery's gaze directly for the first time. Her eyes, gray-green and startlingly penetrating, assess him with unsettling thoroughness. "Your breathing is inconsistent," she says, her voice surprisingly clear and precise. "You are compensating with technical skill, but in actual combat conditions, you would be dead." The recruits fall silent. Tannery's face flushes with anger. "With all due respect, what would you know about combat conditions?" Commander Blackwood moves to intervene, but Master Chief Quinn places a restraining hand on his arm, shaking his head slightly. "Let it play out," Quinn murmurs. "The boy is about to learn something." Rill holds Tannery's challenging stare without emotion, neither offended nor intimidated. The summer heat intensifies, sweat beading on the recruits' foreheads as the standoff continues. Finally, she glances at her watch, casually rolling up the sleeve of her windbreaker to check the time. As she does, a faded tattoo becomes visible on her inner forearm, an unusual symbol resembling a trident merged with wings. Master Chief Quinn inhales sharply. Taking an involuntary step backward, one of the older instructors whispers urgently to another. A ripple of recognition moves through the training staff, their postures straightening almost in unison. Only the recruits remain oblivious to the significance of what they have just seen. Tannery, emboldened by Rill's continued silence, presses his advantage. "You know what? Why do not you show us how it is done then? Since you are such an expert on combat breathing." "Stand down, Ensign," Quinn orders, his voice carrying the full weight of his authority. "You have no idea what you are doing." "It is just a simple marksmanship demonstration," Tannery persists, committed now to his course. "Unless there is a reason she cannot." Rill rises slowly, removing her windbreaker to reveal a simple gray t-shirt underneath. For the first time, her full posture becomes visible, straight-backed and powerful despite her age, with the unmistakable bearing of someone who has commanded others in life or death situations. The symbol on her arm is now fully exposed, identical to an image the candidates had seen during a classified history briefing on naval special warfare evolution. Every instructor on the range has gone completely still, their attention locked on the quiet woman who is now walking calmly toward the firing line. Without instruction, the rangemaster approaches Rill, removing his personal sidearm from its holster. His hands tremble slightly as he presents it to her grip first. "Captain," he says, the single word heavy with respect. She accepts the weapon, inspecting it with practiced efficiency, making a single minor adjustment to the sight. The entire range has fallen silent, the only sound the distant crash of Pacific waves against the Coronado shoreline. The recruits exchange confused glances as they witness the inexplicable deference being shown to this unremarkable woman. Commander Blackwood's earlier reprimand suddenly takes on new significance. Something is happening that they do not understand. Master Chief Quinn steps forward, his voice pitched to carry across the entire range. "Attention on deck," he barks, causing every instructor and staff member to snap to rigid posture. "Captain Amaryllis Winthorn, Ghost Squadron Alpha, Naval Special Warfare Development Group. Every instructor and staff member renders a formal salute, a sea of crisp movements directed at the woman now standing at the firing line. The recruits remain frozen in confusion, processing the implications of what they are witnessing. Commander Blackwood addresses the stunned candidates. 25 years ago, Captain Winthorne commanded the most classified special operations unit in naval history. The mission records remain sealed to this day. Master Chief Quinn adds, before Ghost Squadron, she held the record for the highest scoring sniper in naval special warfare history, a record that still stands. The recruits' faces transform as realization dawns. They have been casually dismissing, even mocking, someone whose operational history literally rewrote the special warfare playbook they are studying. Ensign Tannery stands frozen, the blood visibly draining from his face as he comprehends the magnitude of his error. Rill acknowledges the information with a small nod, her expression betraying neither pride nor resentment at having her identity revealed. She simply turns toward the firing line, focused now on the task at hand. Instead of using the standard target array, she gestures toward a specialized course designed for advanced tactical teams, a complex configuration of multiple targets at varying distances with specific engagement parameters. Full sequence, she says to the Rangemaster, her first directive of the day. He nods, programming the system. Whenever you are ready, Captain. She assumes her stance, textbook perfect, but with subtle adaptations that speak to decades of field experience. Her breathing visibly changes, becoming measured and controlled. The first target appears and Rill fires, then the second, third, and fourth in rapid succession. Each shot finds its mark with surgical precision. Her movements between targets are fluid and economical, displaying years of muscle memory honed to perfection. The rhythmic precision of her shooting creates an almost hypnotic cadence. Target, shot, hit. Target, shot, hit. 12 targets in total, each engaged according to tactical priority rather than order of appearance, demonstrating not just marksmanship, but superior threat assessment. When the final target falls, she lowers the weapon and engages the safety in a single smooth motion. The range remains completely silent, the demonstration having required no commentary. She returns the sidearm to the Rangemaster with a nod of thanks, then turns to face the recruits. Her eyes find Tannery, who stands rigid with embarrassment and newfound respect. It is not about showing off, she says quietly. It is about bringing everyone home alive. Later that afternoon, the candidates are assembled in a conference room at Naval Special Warfare Command. Commander Blackwood and Master Chief Quinn stand at the front, with Rill noticeably absent. What you witnessed today was not planned, Blackwood begins. Captain Winthorne has been evaluating special warfare training protocols for the past decade. Her recommendations have saved countless lives in actual operations. Quinn takes over, his weathered face serious. The Ghost Squadron tattoo you saw is classified. During active operations, most who saw it never lived to tell about it. He paces briefly before continuing. Captain Winthorne led the first mixed-gender special operations unit in naval history, a fact that remains officially denied to this day. Their operational record is unmatched in confirmed high-value target eliminations. Why have not we heard of her? One recruit asks. Or them? Because that is how deep operations work, Quinn responds. The most effective operators are the ones you never hear about. She does not wear medals or demand recognition. Her service record speaks for itself. After the briefing, Ensign Tannery waits outside the command building. When Rill emerges, he approaches with visible humility. Captain, I owe you an apology, he says, standing at attention. I spoke without knowledge or respect. She studies him thoughtfully, seeing beyond his current discomfort to his potential. Arrogance gets operators killed. Humility keeps them alive. I did not recognize what was right in front of me, Tannery admits. That is precisely the lesson, she replies. In the field, missing details costs lives. He nods, absorbing the teaching embedded in her words. They said your unit was the first mixed-gender special operations team. We did not have time to care about gender, she says simply. Only results. Was it? He hesitates, searching for the right words. Was it harder? being a woman in that position? She considers his question, seemingly weighing how much to reveal. We all bled the same. The enemy did not care about my gender, only that I was effective. My team felt the same way. Before he can respond, she adds, "The real question, Ensign, is whether you care more about appearances or effectiveness. That choice will define your career and potentially your survival." The following morning, Rill arrives at her usual bench before dawn. As light breaks across the training grounds and candidates begin to assemble, the atmosphere has noticeably shifted. Where before she was virtually invisible, now each recruit acknowledges her with respectful nods as they pass. When she sits, they give her space, not out of dismissal, but deference. The transformation in their awareness is palpable. Commander Blackwood approaches midway through the morning exercises, coffee in hand. "They have been asking if you might consider offering some informal guidance," he says, offering her the cup. She accepts it with a nod of thanks. "On what topic?" "Anything you are willing to share," he replies. "Though several specifically mentioned your tactical breathing techniques." Rill's expression softens slightly, the first hint of warmth breaking through her professional reserve. "Perhaps, if they are ready to learn." Over the following weeks, Rill's role evolves. She maintains her observer status, but now occasionally offers brief insights when appropriate. The candidates hang on her every word, recognizing the rare opportunity they have been given. Ensign Tannery, transformed by his encounter with her, works with renewed purpose. His natural talents, now tempered by humility, begin to truly flourish. Other recruits notice the change, following his example. One evening, as training concludes, Master Chief Quinn joins Rill on her bench. They sit in companionable silence for several minutes. Two veterans who understand that some experiences do not require verbalization. "You know," Quinn finally says, "I was at Dam Neck when the reports came in about Ghost Squadron's operation in the Bekaa Valley. Even heavily redacted, what you accomplished was," he shakes his head, "beyond what we thought possible." Rill's expression remains neutral, but something in her posture acknowledges his words. "We lost Davenport and Sereno on that one," she says quietly. Quinn nods solemnly. "I served with Davenport before he was selected for your unit. Finest operator I ever trained." "He saved 16 hostages before he fell," she replies. "Made sure everyone else got out first." Quinn studies her profile. "That is why you are here, is not it? Watching over each new generation, making sure their sacrifices continue to mean something." She does not confirm or deny, but her silence carries its own answer. Later that week, Rill leads an optional session on advanced tactical breathing techniques. 20 candidates have assembled in the combat training room, sitting cross-legged on mats, Tannery among them. The usual bravado of SEAL trainees is noticeably absent, replaced by focused attention. "Combat breathing is not mystical," Rill begins, her voice calm but carrying easily to every corner of the room. "It is practical physiology. Your brain requires oxygen to make decisions. Under stress, most humans either hold their breath or hyperventilate. Both impair cognitive function precisely when you need it most." She demonstrates a technique, her posture perfect yet relaxed. The candidates mirror her movements. "In Ghost Squadron, we practiced this until it became involuntary," she continues. "You should be able to control your breathing while running, swimming, or under enemy fire. Your life and the lives of your teammates may depend on it." After the session, a young candidate named Forrester approaches her hesitantly. "Captain, may I ask a question?" She nods once. "Was Ghost Squadron really as lethal as they say?" Her expression does not change, but her eyes assess him carefully. "Who is they?" Forrester shifts uncomfortably. "There are rumors, ma'am, that your team had over 200 confirmed eliminations, that you personally," he glances around, lowering his voice, "that you had more confirmed kills than any operator in history." "Rumors are dangerous, Forrester," she responds evenly. "They create false expectations and rewrite history to suit storytellers." He looks disappointed, and she continues more gently, "The value of an operator is not measured in body count. Some of our most important missions ended with 0 casualties. Success meant getting in and out without anyone knowing we were there." "Is that why there is so little record of Ghost Squadron? Because you were that good at staying invisible?" A ghost of a smile touches her lips. Partly, but mostly because the existence of the unit itself was never supposed to be known. Some operations need to remain in shadow, even decades later. The young man absorbs this thoughtfully. Thank you, Captain, for sharing what you can. As Forrester leaves, Commander Blackwood enters, having overheard the exchange. They are all curious about you, he observes. The legend of Ghost Squadron grows with each passing day. Legends are problematic, she replies. They obscure the reality that success in our world comes from endless training, meticulous planning, and precise execution. Not superhuman abilities. And yet, Blackwood counters, what your team accomplished certainly seemed superhuman to the rest of us. Her gaze drifts toward the window, toward the ocean beyond. We were just well-trained people who understood the stakes. The training cycle intensifies as selection draws near. Only the most capable candidates will continue to the next phase, becoming SEAL candidates in earnest. Rill continues her observations, but now with subtle differences. Occasionally, she speaks quietly to instructors, who adjust their teaching approaches accordingly. Sometimes she demonstrates a technique herself, each movement a distillation of decades of experience. In the evenings, she often remains after others have gone, reviewing notes in her leather-bound journal. On one such night, Commander Blackwood finds her still at her bench as darkness settles over the compound. Personnel files came through today, he says, sitting beside her. The ones you requested. She accepts the folder he offers, opening it to reveal photographs and service records of the current training class. Looking for something specific? He asks. Patterns, she replies, studying the documents. Indicators. Of what? She glances up. Potential, adaptability, the capacity to evolve beyond training. Blackwood watches her methodical review. You are building something, are not you? Beyond evaluation. The world is changing, she says simply. Our response must change with it. He considers her words carefully. There are rumors at the Pentagon about reactivating certain capabilities, specialized teams for emerging threats. There are always rumors, she responds, neither confirming nor denying. They would need someone with your experience, your perspective. She closes the folder deliberately. My operational days are long past, Commander. Your strategic value is not, he counters, and neither is your ability to identify the right people for the right missions. She does not respond immediately, her gaze distant. I lost 16 operators under my command, good people who trusted me to bring them home. And saved hundreds more, he adds quietly, including Quinn, including me. Surprise flickers across her features, quickly controlled. Damascus, 2005, he explains. I was a junior officer on a diplomatic security detail. Our convoy was ambushed, 2 vehicles destroyed before we even knew what was happening. Then suddenly, the attackers started dropping, one by one, precision shots from positions we could not identify. Recognition dawns in her eyes, but she remains silent. We never saw your team, he continues. Just heard a radio transmission with a call sign, Ghost 7. By the time extraction arrived, you were gone. 7 diplomats and 12 security personnel survived because of shots that seemed to come from nowhere. That operation is still classified, she says softly. So is my gratitude, he responds. I have waited 18 years to say thank you. The weight of shared understanding passes between them, histories connecting across time. Commander, she begins. Bridger, he corrects. Please. Bridger, she concedes. What exactly are you asking me to do? Help me identify candidates with potential beyond the standard metrics, people who could serve in capacities that might not officially exist. She studies him intently. You are not just running training, are you? Let us say I have additional responsibilities, he replies carefully, identifying specific talents for specific needs. Like Ghost Squadron, she surmises. Similar in concept, different in execution. The threats have evolved, so must our response. She looks down at the folder in her hands, at the faces of young men and women at the beginning of their journeys. I will consider it. That is all I ask, he says, standing to leave. At the edge of the light, he pauses. For what it is worth, you changed how we operate. The protocols you developed, the techniques you pioneered, they saved countless lives, including mine. After he departs, Rill remains on her bench, memories surfacing like shadows in deep water. Faces of those lost, missions that succeeded and failed, moments of impossible decision. She opens her journal to a well-worn page filled with names, each followed by a date. Her fingers trace the list with reverence. Then she turns to a fresh page and begins to write, starting with one name, Ensign Jared Tannery. 6 months later, graduation day arrives for the SEAL candidates who completed training. The ceremony is held on the same grounds where Rill has maintained her quiet vigil, though today the space is transformed with formal trappings and the presence of family members. Rill stands at the back, still unassuming, but now acknowledged. Her windbreaker has been replaced by a simple dark blazer, her only concession to the occasion's formality. As the new SEALs receive their tridents, the gold insignia that marks their entry into the elite community, each glances toward where she stands. Ensign Tannery, now transformed by humility and hard work, accepts his pin with quiet pride, his eyes briefly meeting Rill's across the distance. After the ceremony, as the graduates prepare for their first deployments, they each stop to receive a few quiet words from Rill. No one can hear what she says to each man, but their expressions afterwards suggest she has given them something valuable to carry forward. A visiting admiral observes this procession with curiosity. "Who is she?" he asks Master Chief Quinn. "I do not recognize her from the command structure." Quinn measures his response carefully. "Captain Amaryllis Winthorn, sir. Former Ghost Squadron commander." The admiral's eyebrows rise dramatically. "Ghost Squadron? I thought that was just a rumor." "That is what they wanted everyone to think, sir," Quinn replies. "She has lost more friends than most people will ever make. Yet she still ensures each generation is better prepared than the last." After the final graduate has departed, Rill returns to her bench, opening her worn notebook. Inside are names, dozens of them, with dates next to each. With careful precision, she adds the names of the graduating class to her list. A single tear falls as she touches the Ghost Squadron tattoo on her arm, revealing that this is how she honors her fallen teammates, by protecting future generations. Commander Blackwood joins her, sitting silently in companionship. They watch the sunset together, the sky bleeding orange and crimson over the Pacific. "They will never know what you have sacrificed," he says finally. "They do not need to know," she replies. "They just need to come home." Later that evening, Rill meets Blackwood in his office. The space is Spartan but functional, walls adorned with unit photos and operational maps rather than personal memorabilia. "You have made your decision?" he asks, motioning her to a chair. She remains standing. "I have conditions." He nods unsurprised. "I expected nothing less." "Complete operational autonomy," she begins. "I select the candidates, design the training, establish the protocols. No interference from traditional command structures. That can be arranged, within parameters. Second, no official designation. No patches, no insignia, no paper trail beyond what is absolutely necessary. Nothing that can be traced. Like Ghost Squadron, he observes. Ghost Squadron became too well known, even as a rumor, she counters. This must be deeper, invisible even to those who think they know all the secrets. And third, he asks, recognizing her pattern. I work only with Tannery as my second, no one else from existing command structures. This surprises him. Tannery? He's barely out of training. He has what we need, she says simply. Humility learned through error, technical excellence tempered by recognition of his limitations. And most importantly, he can evolve beyond his training. Blackwood considers this. It is irregular. He should serve with a regular team first, gain operational experience. We do not have time for traditional paths, she replies. The threats Forrester discovered in the Manila intercepts are accelerating. 6 months, maybe less, before they have operational capability. You read the intelligence briefs, he says, not really a question. I have clearance, she reminds him, and context most analysts lack. He studies her for a long moment. The Pentagon will want guarantees, oversight, traditional chain of command. Then the Pentagon does not understand the threat, she says flatly, or what will be required to counter it. What exactly are you proposing, Amaryllis? he asks, using her first name for the first time. She sits finely, leaning forward with intensity. A new paradigm, smaller teams, specialized capabilities, complete deniability. Operators trained to function without traditional support structures, capable of sustained independent action in non-permissive environments. That is what Ghost Squadron was, he points out. Ghost Squadron was the prototype, she corrects. What I am proposing takes those lessons and adapts them to current realities. Our adversaries have evolved. Their ability to identify traditional special operations methodologies has improved. We need to become what they cannot anticipate. Blackwood absorbs this, recognizing the strategic validity. You are talking about creating something that officially cannot exist. Precisely, she confirms, because the threats we face exist in the same shadow spaces. How many operators? Initially 5, eventually no more than 12, divided into autonomous cells, each with specialized capabilities, cross-trained for redundancy. Tannery would be your first selection, he surmises. She nods. Along with Forrester for intelligence analysis, Mercer for technical systems, Abernathy for medical, and Chiron for linguistics. You have been planning this for some time, he observes. Since the day you asked me to evaluate the training program, she admits, I just did not know if the right candidates would present themselves. And now they have, he concludes. Now they have, she agrees. 2 weeks later, Tannery reports to an unmarked building at the far edge of the base. The structure appears to be a storage facility, unremarkable and easily overlooked. He enters using the keycard he was given with his transfer orders, finding himself in a sparse anteroom with a single desk. Rill sits behind it, wearing the same practical clothing from her days observing training, her weathered journal open before her. Ensign, she acknowledges. Close the door. He complies, standing at attention before her desk. Reporting as ordered, Captain. This is not about orders, Tannery, she replies. Not anymore. From this point forward, traditional military structures no longer apply to you. Consider this your final chance to return to normal career progression. Confusion crosses his face. I do not understand. You have been selected for a specialized unit that does not officially exist, she explains. If you accept, your record will show assignment to Naval Special Warfare support activities. Your actual duties will never appear in any official documentation. You will operate without recognition, without acknowledgement, often without support. Understanding dawns in his eyes. Like Ghost Squadron. Similar in concept, different in execution, she says, echoing Blackwood's earlier words. The unit has no name, no insignia, no history. We exist to counter threats that arise in the spaces between traditional military responsibilities. Why me? He asks directly. I just earned my trident. There must be more experienced operators available. She studies him thoughtfully. Experience is valuable. Adaptability is essential. You demonstrated the capacity to recognize error, adjust your understanding, and evolve beyond your training. That quality is rare and cannot be taught. He absorbs this, recognizing the weight of the opportunity being presented. Who else knows about this unit? Commander Blackwood, 3 people at the Pentagon, no one else? And the team? 4 others if you accept, each selected for specific capabilities and the same adaptability you demonstrated. Tannery considers for a long moment. The work would be high risk. The highest, she confirms without embellishment. Many of the operations would be solo or in pairs, minimal support, no hope of rescue if compromised. Like the Bekaa Valley mission, he says, referencing a Ghost Squadron operation that has become almost mythological within special operations communities. Something flickers in her eyes, perhaps surprise that he knows of it. Yes, though that mission had more support than most of what you would face. He straightens his posture, decision made. I accept, Captain. She nods once, then stands and extends her hand. As they shake, she says, My name is Rill. Rank no longer applies here. This simple statement marks his transition more profoundly than any ceremony could. She leads him through a door at the back of the room, revealing a surprisingly large operational space. Maps cover one wall, advanced communications equipment another. 4 people are already present, each engaged in different tasks. They look up as Rill and Tannery enter. "Team, this is Tannery," she announces simply. "Tannery, meet Forrester, intelligence." She indicates a slender man with wire-rimmed glasses. "Mercer, technical systems." A woman with short-cropped hair nods. "Abernathy, medical." A tall man with surgeon's hands acknowledges him. And Chiron, linguistics. A woman of Middle Eastern appearance offers a reserved smile. "5 of us?" Tannery asks, noting the small size of the team. "To start," Rill confirms. "Smaller teams, focused capabilities, minimal footprint. We move in shadows where larger units cannot." Over the following months, they train together under Rill's exacting guidance. The regimen goes beyond anything Tannery experienced in SEAL training, focusing not just on physical capabilities, but on cognitive flexibility, improvisational problem-solving, and operating with minimal equipment or support. Rill leads by example, demonstrating techniques and methodologies that have never been documented in any training manual. The decades fall away when she moves, her body remembering what her mind has never forgotten. Conventional special operations still think primarily in terms of direct action, she explains during one session. We think in terms of influence and leverage, minimal presence, maximum impact. One person in the right place at the right time can accomplish what an entire team cannot. Her teaching methods are unconventional but effective. Instead of standard scenarios, she creates complex, ambiguous situations that have no clear solutions. The team learns to trust their judgment, to make decisions with incomplete information, to adapt when plans inevitably fail. In Ghost Squadron, we had a saying, she tells them one evening after a particularly grueling exercise. "The plan is nothing. Planning is everything. No operation survives first contact with reality. Your ability to adjust is what keeps you alive." 6 months into their training, the first real operation arrives. Intelligence indicates a previously unknown terrorist faction has acquired chemical weapons components through a network of shell companies. The materials are being assembled at a remote location in the Caucasus Mountains. Conventional response would be a direct action team, Rill explains during the briefing. 12 to 20 operators, helicopter insertion, assault on the facility, high visibility, high risk, significant potential for collateral damage. Our approach, Forrester asks. 2 people, she replies. Tannery and Mercer. Low visibility infiltration. Targeted neutralization of key components and personnel. No evidence of external involvement. The operation is executed with precision that would have been impossible with a larger team. Tannery and Mercer infiltrate the facility, disable the weapons components, and eliminate the 3 principal scientists without alerting security or leaving evidence of their presence. Upon their return, Blackwood visits the team's facility. His expression as he reviews the after-action report reveals both admiration and concern. The results are impressive, he acknowledges to Rill privately, but the methods are, to put it mildly, beyond any conventional operational parameters. That was always the point, she reminds him. Conventional parameters create predictable responses. Predictability gets operators killed. The Pentagon will want metrics, assessments. The Pentagon will get what we choose to provide, she counters. That was our agreement. He sighs, recognizing the impossible position. Just, please remember these are young operators. They have not seen what you have seen, done what you have done. Her expression softens slightly. That is precisely why I am here, Bridger, to ensure they survive to become the veterans we need them to be. After he leaves, she returns to her journal. Beside each name from the graduating class, she has made notations tracking their progress in their assigned units. And on a separate page, she has begun a new list, headed by 5 names, with space below for others yet to be identified. At the bottom of the page, she has written a single line. Ghost Squadron was the past. This is the future. In the distance, the new generation of special operators continues their work, unaware of the invisible threads connecting them to missions completed decades before. The quiet woman from the bench, once overlooked, now guides them from shadows of her own creation. Have you ever known someone who never asked for recognition but deserved more than anyone else? Someone whose quiet service spoke louder than any medal or commendation?